morning, everybody. Welcome to today's 1 million by 1 million strategy roundtable for entrepreneurs. 1M, as you know, is the first and only global virtual accelerator for technology startups in the world. Our mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million and beyond in annual revenue. In support of this mission, we've been doing free mentoring roundtables now for years and years and years. Starting in 2008. This is the 656th session. So it's been an immense privilege to have so many entrepreneurs from so many different parts of the world participate. When we started, the bulk of the entrepreneurs came from the United States and India. India has always been very big. But now we see a lot of Africa coming in, which is a very welcome new development, which tells us that Africa is developing seriously. And it's not like we market a lot in Africa. Basically, African entrepreneurs are finding us on their own. So it's really fascinating to see how entrepreneurship is really democratizing and globalizing. Today, we're going to start our conversation with Gus Tai, a very close and old friend of mine. Gus has been a very successful VC in Silicon Valley and also has a long history as an angel investor. So both of those perspectives, even though one feeds into the other, but I do think there are nuances in those two hats that Gus has been wearing. So We'll discuss the topic that has been on the table for the last few months, AI investment thesis. AI is dominating all popular conversations, all investor conversations, entrepreneur conversations, everything right now. And it's moving at absolute breakneck speed. So we have explored the topic from many different angles, but every week I feel like we've moved beyond and there's more interesting new things to discuss. So Gus, welcome. I'm really thrilled and eager to discuss what's going on in your brain.
Oh, thank you, Sharma. I'm looking forward to the discussion. It'll be a rich and lively one.
So Gus, what is your general assessment of the AI investment opportunity and the AI entrepreneurship opportunity? They're obviously highly related, but they're also not entirely the same. So let's start with a bit of a general kind of synthesis of your takeaways, and then we'll dig deeper on many of those insights.
Well, definitely, Sharmana. I guess I would start by just highlighting that AI refers to a set of techniques that provide a form of intelligence or better decision-making in infinite amounts of choices. And that different AI techniques have existed for a long time. I realize, Sharmana, your work way back in your graduate days involved machine learning and different types of algorithms. And there's a lot of excitement now because of the progress in generative AI, more specifically around large language models, but also multimodality types of intelligence. And that beacons a new set of potential capabilities. So I would say that there's this ongoing opportunity for new businesses that use advanced algorithms in traditional ways, and then a surprising number of new applications that can be based upon generative AI. So I think there are basically an infinite number of opportunities. And then in terms of what those opportunities mean for an investor versus an entrepreneur, I think the uncovered areas still can reap great potential as investments. I think some of the established companies may not be great investments as new investments, but can still be great companies.
So Gus, in our last, I would say 10, 12 discussions on this topic, a number of points have come up, and I'm going to quickly synthesize them and then, get your perspective on, taking that discussion further. So I think there is consensus on the platforms and training these very large language models, the domain of OpenAI, Anthropic, Cohere, and the ones that are doing these extraordinarily expensive ventures, very, very heavily funded by the big tech giants, and to some extent right now the sovereign wealth funds are kicking in to that party. But it is, by and large, that is not where most VCs are looking right now. They're looking more at that layer as a platform as a service, and then vertical AI being built on top of that, the picks and shovels opportunity around all of that. So this, I think, especially people running smaller funds, they can't really play that big language model game. They're playing much more in that vertical AI game. Another perspective that is coming in is the perspective of human-centric AI. And some investors are thinking that it's too complicated to train people inside, Global 2000 or, enterprises in general to learn all this on how to use these tools and technologies, even if it's vertical AI. And they're considering more, in contrast with a do-it-yourself model, a do-it-for-me model. So almost like a business process outsourcing, but it's high-powered AI-enabled business process outsourcing, providing very high levels of value, aided by AI, but doing the whole function as an outsourced function. So this kind of resonates with me well. And I think this human-centric AI concept is something that I'm thinking quite a bit about. So I would like to put that on the discussion roster for today and hear what you have to say on that. We've heard quite a bit on the hallucination topic. Obviously, a lot of these companies are struggling with hallucination, and some of them are coming to the conclusion that why bother with these very large language models? Why not, if you're doing vertical AI, why not do a small language model that does not hallucinate willy-nilly and build applications using, well-trained but constrained language models, which, as we know, AI does very well in constrained language models, constrained vocabularies, data structures, etc. So that also resonates with me. And all this is kind of bringing another set of questions to my mind. And I just started reading Yuval Noah Harari's new book, Nexus. And of course, he deals with things at a very, large scale kind of species level. We have all these problems that are still very much open problems. Poverty remains an open problem. Large-scale healthcare remains an open problem, and large-scale education remains an open problem. And to what extent can AI start offering solutions, scalable solutions in those domains? And how does, capitalism, the venture capital model, the entrepreneurship model, these models can aid that evolution? So that's kind of like setting the agenda. You pick whichever one of these you want to start peeling.
Well, maybe I'll start with the first topic you mentioned about human-centric AI, Shramana. And I would recommend to people who are interested in understanding the trends of AI to read a book about human-centric AI, to read a book called A Brief History of Intelligence by Max Bennett, who was a professor and now is a CEO of an AI startup. And in it, he talks about the evolution of human intelligence and what that might suggest for artificial intelligence, because artificial intelligence and AGI is meant to be a supplement for, or a replacement perhaps for, human intelligence. And the generative AI model is intrinsically one of predicting in a procedural way the semantic communication and messaging that human beings use to communicate what our interest and intention and observation may be. And it's an imprecise method, but that's the fifth layer he would talk about the fifth breakthrough of intelligence. And I call that out because it's vertical AI works with constrained models, because those constrained models could either filter out miscommunication among people, or it could also spend time to investigate what are the real underlying model attributes of that system. And AI actually is more accurate and effective when you could model the underlying physics of the arena. And you could think of chess as an example, where you have stockfish outperforming AlphaZero. And but general AI and AGI is meant to be a supplement to how a human being approaches activity. And what LLM does is it can predict what is the procedural instruction we would tell another person. And so hallucinations arise because it's not wedded in reality, and it's a feature of LLM.
It is.
I think that for why LLMs, though, are still very appropriate for human-centric AI, is that human beings in performing have our own hallucinations, or we have our own erosion and change in performance. If we are coming in sleepy, or someone is on drugs, or having a hangover, they'll behave in a certain way. And we have systems that are robust to deal with variation in performance. Likewise, I think that in human-centric AI solutions, hallucinations don't cost as much, the errors aren't as expensive, and we could build these suggestions procedurally that could help human beings. So, and then I would just add a final note on this, like this evolution of planning, or Q-star, or whatever they're calling it in this next generation. Those will dramatically improve the intelligence of a system, of a general intelligence system, because it could lay out steps, chain of thought reasoning, and look back and refer and say, oh, maybe there's a hallucination here. So I do think hallucinations will reduce in impact. I do think that AGI will be able to replicate very complicated procedures. Anything you could describe how it could be done through instruction, AGI will be here, and it will be able to do a good job. And that will be a supplement to human design. So I just see enormous opportunities in human-centric AI.
So coming back to entrepreneurship and investment in tech ventures, there's been, for the last, let's say, 30 years, that the venture capital industry has been active, really active. I would say from the beginning of the internet is when venture capital went on hyperdrive. We have said, as an industry, we have said, services companies, and I'm not talking about software as a service or cloud services, I'm talking about services like, ad agencies and marketing agencies and IT services and legal services, architectural services, these categories of services, wealth management services. These are not venture fundable companies. These are not scalable opportunities. But human-centric AI and AI's ability to really enhance a human being in doing some of the activities involved in these services companies actually raise the question, should we start investing in these companies now?
I think that we should look at those opportunities as an investor, and also look at those opportunities as an entrepreneur, if the cost of providing that service comes down enough. I happen to believe that the competitive nature of the different platforms will result in inexpensive forms of basic types of services, which an entrepreneur can use to deliver these services. If you think about if you think about why services may now be possible, it's because AI can provide the bespoke customization for entrepreneurs, whereas it was not efficient in a scalable way to do it in the past.
Okay.
As you were mentioning this, Shramana, I was thinking about marketplaces like marketplace like a Fiverr or other ones that provide services where individuals have needs and they partner with a person through a marketplace to provide that. Well, why wouldn't AI be able to do much of what that person as a service provider could have done in the past? And that would be part of a platform with more consistency of performance. So I think that there'll be a lot of those types of opportunities, and that would suit AI, human-centric AI, really well.
Yeah, and I think this is a very good point that you raise about these Fiverr and Upwork kinds of platforms. So yes, there are tons of people doing jobs, functions that can be either automated with AI or enhanced by AI. You know, in some ways, because of the human-centric AI concept, that their expertise is still important and still relevant. It's just that their expertise can become much augmented, much higher order, and they can service many more clients. So I think there are actually a lot of small businesses, not just freelancers, but a lot of small businesses who have built to some size, you know, maybe $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $5 million in revenue on those platforms. And I think those companies can scale quite a bit. So I think this is an interesting opportunity. And if some of these companies can figure out more original ways of using AI and scaling their businesses, those would warrant discussions of investment as well, potentially, because I do think there's a whole class of companies that are becoming potentially worthy of investment considerations because of inserting AI into their workflows.
And Shramana, I'm very much I agree with you, and I'm in your camp of this philosophy of what is a sound business model. And I also think it's wonderful if a business model could be very capital efficient. And so when we think about the sound business model and the value proposition of product market / monetization fit, we could look at these models that weren't effective because of the variability of service that needed to be provided, and then look at the parts of the value chain. And if parts of the value chain can be done we could assume with the progress of AI, can be done in an infinitely scalable way for basically free, how would the business model work? And then how would we redesign it with that knowledge? And I just think that anything that touches people, that involves coordination of people, can be redesigned. And then the better business models can aggregate more of that for the benefit of the customer, and for the company.
So now I'm going to take this logic a little bit in uncharted territory. I think the most important impact of AI is in healthcare. You know, we're going to have a planet of 10 billion people to service from a healthcare perspective. So let's just back of the envelope math. Let's just assume that we need 100 million doctors, you know, trained doctors to be able to cater to that large population. Probably need some 10 million hospitals and clinics to be able to manage that whole, function. So is it possible that we can do that with AI? Is it possible that at some point in our evolution, hospitals and clinics become venture funded because they're run by an AI operating system? And
yes.
I'm asking this question, thus, as I'm sure you can tell, is that I want to keep capitalism at the center of the innovation ecosystem, because there is no evidence any other model other than capitalism works in the innovation ecosystem.
Yeah, I was going to highlight that I was receiving your perspective in those two buckets. One is the role of AI creating better solutions and scalability, and then the financeability about it, or the ability to have a mechanism for collecting resources to apply. And I think that for healthcare, and I do have healthcare investments as an angel investor, and some of them are one is AI related, and the other one will be using AI. And my expertise in lens is really around the U.S. market from investor standpoint, not global. The tension with the way the U.S. healthcare system ecosystem is set up is that it's unclear who the customer really is. So just as it's clear in social media, you as a consumer, you're part of the product.
Yep.
You're not the customer.
Right.
And so your interests really are an annoyance on certain dimensions to the business model. And so with that lens, and you'd say, okay, well, is the patient really the customer of the U.S. healthcare system? Sorta, but maybe not. And so when you talk about capitalistic forces in the U.S., I think that the industry structure might be more similar. It's not the same as the advertising business model, which does have its benefits in other ways, but there's a different alignment of stakeholders versus what an individual may have in mind of what would be most helpful for the individual. So I don't know. I view reform in healthcare really coming from both governmental pressures, because capitalism is great but does have its limitations, and then secondly, there could be some invention about changes in the value proposition because of AI scalability that unlocks and unleashes a lot of business models, and that would lead to change. And I'll give you an example that this wasn't AI driven, but one of my seed investments was in a company called MIDI Health. And MIDI Health is a leading company to provide services to perimenopause and menopausal women. That capability became enabled because of COVID, with the legality of providing telemedicine services and reimbursement for that. So regulation did unlock a very vibrant, growing business. And I think that AI may surface those types of opportunities that are new types of service models. Now, the AI company I have in healthcare is more more of a product service for the existing healthcare system. So it's more like a B2B type of technology to make them more effective. Those will arise, but those won't immediately disrupt the industry to increase the scalability of effective care provision that you had in mind.
Well, I think the US system actually, in some ways, is a better place to start, just because there is both a private insurance offer as well as a public healthcare system. In the single payer public only systems, it's a little bit more complicated. I think it's at some level, but I think, if we look at the platform as a service model and apply that to healthcare, there could be this kind of healthcare operating system that all hospitals can use, AI operating system. And then on top of that, it may become really profitable for hospitals and clinics to be built, more effectively, more efficiently. And, I asked the question in the context of venture capital, but even if it's not venture capital, even if it's a good investment to build a hospital by leveraging information technology in every possible way, and AI in every possible way, that would be, small businesses built on top of the platform potentially, and give us scalability in providing healthcare to the populations. There are other countries, if you look at India, for instance, there is really no insurance industry. That's a very nascent situation. The health insurance industry is in a very nascent situation. So the insurance industry has to be built, and then the whole healthcare ecosystem has to be built. So it's, enormous opportunity on both sides, but it's not built yet. And then you have the European systems where it's very much, public healthcare, and those systems tend to evolve a lot more slowly. If, unless there's a private, maybe even venture funded kinds of opportunity that can come in and disrupt, it's going to be slower change. In a way, actually, the US having a private system and the emerging markets having no system at all may be better places for innovation to kick in gear than the ones that are kind of slow and steady public systems.
Yeah, and as you were saying that, Sharmana, it struck me that the tension is this. It's around incentive alignment across the ecosystem, and healthcare, the way I understand it in the U.S., has a lot of large organizations that have a lot of power that are in this balkanized Byzantine system of relationship of cross interests that make it difficult for movement. And so US can benefit is that we as patients may feel less serviced as much as we would like. And to the degree we could aggregate customer patient demand, as you mentioned, the private practices and so forth, that would fuel the investment in technologies and services for that patient group. And it might start out higher in terms of socioeconomics and trickle down, but it is happening. So there are healthcare related services that provide full MRI scans of a human body. There are other ones that do the quarterly measurement of body chemistry to provide feedback. And as those companies get heft, then you could imagine those businesses could incrementally add more and more services to have complete healthcare capability.
Yeah.
And that could be another vector to help change alignment to be more aligned with individuals.
Yeah. And just an aside, this is not investment related or entrepreneurship related, but I think the human-centric aspect of AI actually can turn out to be a very beneficial factor in healthcare, just because it's a natural propensity for human beings who are in need of care to want another human being to be taking care of them, not a robot, not a digital persona. So I think this may be, at the end of the day, in an industry that can be augmented by AI. The training and the ability to care will be there, powered by AI, but there is also the human aspect, the compassion, the care aspect that can, if we can make it survive from an economics point of view, the industry can become a far more efficient and far better quality care industry.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So here, I think human-centric AI has humongous potential. Now, education is another big open problem. Hundreds of millions of people have to be educated every year, K through 12, young adults, college, higher education, et cetera, et cetera. I was reading an article in The Economist about how predatory and how aggressive the tutoring industry is in places like Asia, for example. Tutoring is almost mandatory, and teachers withhold information in the classroom because they're terribly paid. They withhold information in the classroom to make extra money by tutoring. So now tutoring isn't natural for generative AI. This one, again, I do feel like this is also a human-centric AI problem, because human beings learn better from human beings, because there are all these like nurturing opportunities, motivational opportunities. There's all kinds of things that in a human relationship that happens. There's friendships that evolve. There's a mentor-mentee relationship that evolves. There's all kinds of beautiful things that happen in the context of a human relationship. But if the actual content of that, the tutoring or the teaching that can be taken care by AI, then I think we have a ideal situation in many ways.
Yeah, I very much agree, Sharmana. And coincidentally, I was watching yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, DuoCon, which is the annual Duolingo product release event.
Yeah.
And they had, I felt they had made materially beneficial advancements for how to have an AI persona engage with the person. And part of, and so the human mind can bootstrap language. Children know how to learn languages, and there's an element of curiosity and interest and novelty to put in the reps to learn. And so what they had about this video dialogue of conversation, I thought, like, I can see the trajectory now for how they'll get there. Where and I'm very bullish on Duolingo as a company. I'm not an investor, but I just think they're doing amazing things.
Yes, and I'm an avid user of Duolingo. I've learned French. I took private tutoring early on in the pre-Duolingo era and got some French, but I have become reasonably fluent in French by studying Duolingo every day. And it's been amazing. It's really, I'm like a complete advocate of the product of the company. Also, Gus, the whole Khan Academy, Khan Migo experiment that is going on, and Bill Gates is behind that with the Gates Foundation, because I think he's a huge believer in if Khan Academy can build these tutors, for K through 12 in particular, and manage the whole K through 12 curriculum with tutoring, free tutoring, that is going to be a material change, positive change.
Yeah, and it made me think of the two elements that human-centric AI can really be of benefit. One is this element of having more diversity such that there's increased likelihood of novelty for the student.
Yeah.
Because when we're curious, when we feel safe enough to be curious, we learn. And human beings teach the same way, but the repertoire of an AGI would be larger. And the second one is what I thought you were alluding to before, of with the advancements of AI, we also, one of the other resources we use to help teach is that human connection, because human connection provides energy and motivation, and the social context helps someone focus more and engage. And that Duolingo persona, I could just see move toward, I have a relationship and I want to demonstrate that I'm learning on behalf of this persona. Now we might think that that's odd, but is it odd? I mean, if it becomes commonplace where we trust that persona and say, oh, they're actually helping me, and I'm feeling that I'm helping them, even though it's an artificial character, but it's human centric, and so it's really taking advantage, I think, of in a more wholesome way, the nature of the human operating system of wanting to connect and wanting to relate.
Yeah. And I think this discussion that we just had, if we bring that to the context of entrepreneurship and investment, Duolingo is a classical venture-funded company that went B2C and succeeded in the B2C model. So that's traditional startup venture capital kind of model. Khan Academy is a very different model. Khan Academy is a nonprofit. It's planning to offer everything for free, I think, more or less, to the schools and the teachers to use. Is there a Is there an entrepreneurial angle to the education problem that that you are seeing or thinking about?
I have not been seeing them on education per se in the US. I have been seeing a related tangent around how do we use these relatable personas to help people feel seen or heard in mental health and well-being applications,
Mhm.
And I also think that the cost of these advanced but soon to be basic capabilities will keep dropping. And so entrepreneurs could be inspired by what Duolingo had done and by what Khan Economy has been doing and say, these are niches
Yes.
that can be very profitable and be of great service in delighting and nourishing customers. And I think that's a really interesting idea for people who want to get businesses to get to profitability pretty quickly.
Yeah. Gus, we have a couple of entrepreneurs that we will need to work with. So I would like to continue this conversation. I think Maureen will follow up and schedule another conversation on one of these forums, yes?
Sounds great. I would love that. Be
All
delighted.
right, thank you. It was great.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Folks, we will switch to the entrepreneurship mentoring session. We have 2 scheduled conversations. These are safe working sessions. You can be completely relaxed and discuss whatever it is that you want to discuss, and I will do my best to give you my point of view and, you know, perspective with which you can remove your roadblocks. You can disagree with what I will tell you. It's your venture. You can do whatever you want with it. So Nischal Sharma from Jaipur, India is our first presenter. Nischal, please unmute your line and tell us what you're doing.
Hello, Shamana, and hello everyone on the panel. So I'm Nischal Sharma. I'm from the Jaipur, Rajasthan in India. And currently I'm the founder and CEO of the Zets, or the Zero Emission Taxi Services, you can call it. So we are focused on the future urban mobility to basically to embrace our journey of the transportation and make the world so sustainable by providing the cab services and disrupt the market with the old traditional cab services. Next slide, please, Puna. Yeah. So first of all, let me ask you a question. Like, have you ever faced problems while booking the rides or had a bad experience? Had anyone had? You can tell me.
I haven't had problems.
Yeah, that's okay, because that's not a one common problem. Everyone has faced the same problems. I don't know about the US or the global market about the Uber or the traditional cab services tailors, but in India,
But I know in India, I think Uber and Ola, they refuse bookings all the time. They show up.
Exactly. Yeah, we face a lot of problems in India. You can't imagine like how we are going to through it. Like next slide, please, Shamna. These are the data of the India, and right now we are.
Yes, I know about
Yeah,
that.
this is the data. Like, I'm not just saying and doing anything I have the proof of it. Like, you can see everywhere, like ride cancellation problem is everywhere in India from the driver side. And when you are in hurry or in emergency, you are just trying to book the taxi but still you are getting to the old edition cab services in the 2024. Like, driver side is always like you are cancelled and you get cancelled every time. And the high fares, oh my God, they are not pocket friendly as well, and eco friendly is not because they are using the IC vehicles and as well, and they are like, this model is not for the good for the students as well. Yeah, so these are the problems you can see here as a slide. There's a too much fare in the old traditional cab services, what we as an Indian see the problems.
Sure. We just discussed ride cancellation as the main problem.
Ride cancellation and the big fares, high fare.
But high fares, that surge pricing is kind of common practice in that industry. I'm not sure if you would be able to.
No, is it kind of a good practice? Yeah. Okay, I can address you. It's like a common practice in that industry, but still you are paying 200 and plus rupees in India. It's more than for just 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers. It's like unfair. And in the tier one city or tier two cities like Bangalore, You have to like pay your all hard-earned money for them travel to just travel. Like you have to commute for at least 5 to 6 kilometers, and you are paying 200, 250 rupees. Sometimes it happens to me, and sometimes with my friends as well, who's living there. And it's just, and the plus the cancellation as well happening. So what's the solution? We came up to that. So these are the solutions we are opening from the Zets. In Zets, we are providing you the all electric two-wheeler and a three-wheeler fleet. And so there's a no issue of the carbon dioxide emissions and another eco-friendly emissions like that. We have the minimum fares with no such of the hidden charges. Like we are not providing you the hidden charges. We are very fair and the transparent company with our customers because in India, as we all say, the customer is our God. So that's it. So these are we are offering the minimum fare as well, and we don't own the vehicles. Like we lease the vehicles from the leasing entity, and then operate by the drivers. So we don't purchasing them. That's offer us to learn an asset light model, which is very helpful to
So
make the
now,
money.
in this solution slide, you don't even talk about ride cancellation.
No, like I already talked about that run an asset light model by the leasing the vehicles. That's our issue because when the driver's vehicles is not there, the vehicle is of the company. Like we are providing you the vehicles. The drivers not have to add their own vehicles. So the driver has to just come up
Uber
and
does
add
not
their
own
vehicles.
the
Like
vehicles. Uber does not own or lease vehicles. Uber
no,
is a
Uber don't own the
marketplace.
vehicles or lease the vehicles. Yeah, like they have the formula or like they have the business model like that. You have to attach your vehicle. Like if I'm the driver, I have to
No,
attach my
Uber
the
is a
vehicle to the Uber
marketplace.
platform.
Uber is a
Yeah, it's a
marketplace.
marketplace. Yeah, absolutely correct. But still, like in India, we have to face some issues in that model because the vehicle is owned by the driver. So it's like now it's a driver call if they want to go or not with you. But if you are the like you are just paying or like you are working in a car company as
You
a
are
daily
saying you
wages
want to
permanent, like
lease
we
the
have
vehicles and pay the drivers, hire the drivers. They are going to be on your payroll.
like I can't hear you like properly. Can you say?
This is not going to be a scalable model. You can do it as a small business. It's not going to be a scalable model.
No, it is. I can explain you because there are one more model which is also operating in the India, which is known as the Blue Smart. Have you ever heard about it?
No.
Basically, they are running and they're successful. They're doing the $1 million of the revenues in the India, and they're so scalable as well. But they are offering you the like in the next slide I can explain you. Like switch to the next slide. Yeah. So like next slide. Okay. Is the company purpose. Okay, so why now the moment for the Jets is because the historical evaluation is also coming up. Like we are evolving from the Stone Age to the in like India, US. You can see the India
You
from the
have to waste your
independent side.
time on Stone Age. I'm not interested in
Okay,
Stone Age. I'm in the 21st
okay,
century. Talk to me about business.
okay, yeah, okay. Then can talk about this. So this is the market size of the India, like $20.6 billion of total addressable market in India right now, organized and unorganized manner. And if you can see to the organized manner, it's going to be increased by the $38.9 billion by 2023, 30. 2030, like yeah. And our focus is to basically a $668 million service optical market as well. These are the competitor approach, like Rapido, Uber, and the Blue Smart is are the common competitors. Rapido is also offering the two and three-wheeler services, but like same as the Uber, like they have not owned the vehicles and don't engage in them. Blue Smart is one of the competitor, but they still are offering to the only four vehicle segments. They're offering in the two-wheeler and three-wheeler segments, and they have to offer like they have to schedule, like you have to schedule the cabs for it. They focus only to the corporate side, not for the students, daily commuters, and as well. We are focusing on the total of the student size and the daily commuter who are traveling each day, day by day, and not the Blue Smart is not also the pocket friendly as well. We are the pocket
But
friendly
is
with
it
the
a
minimum fare.
marketplace or is it something where they own the vehicles?
Like Blue Smart is on the vehicles. Like they also leasing the vehicles. They're also running the some same the asset light model by leasing the EVs of the four-wheeler segment from the Tata Tiago EV and Tata Nexon EV. The kind of the EVs right now in India, no Indian manufacturing, the Tatas, and they are leasing them from the leasing entity and running them by the same model which are running. But they are
And
operating in the four-wheeler
Ola
segment.
is like Uber, right? That's a marketplace. So Uber
Yeah,
and
Ola,
Rapido,
Uber,
these
and
are all
Rapido is all over the
marketplaces.
marketplace.
And
Exactly,
Blue
exactly.
Smart,
They're all
how big is Blue Smart?
Blue Smart is like $1 million company. Like I just forgetting the exact number of it, but still they are making the revenue. They have the thousands and the lakhs of the numbers of the cars right now, and they are operating successfully in the two three. They are operating in the two three cities of India right now, like in the Bangalore, in the Pune, Maharashtra, in the Mumbai, and the Delhi NCR. Right now they are
And how
operating
are
there.
they funded?
They funded from the governments and the VCs, the giant VCs and the Genso Living Engineering.
So it is not a venture funded company.
Yes, like it's a venture funded company, but they started from funding from the government funded as well from the IREDA. They got the funds from the IREDA, which is an Indian government incentive in the power and in energy sector. They fund them to lease the vehicles, and as well the Genso Lead Engineering funds also them.
Who funded them? Which VC fund funded them?
Genso Lead Engineering. They do not the VC, like they are the leasing entity, like who purchase the vehicles for them.
Okay, so that answers your question and my question. Blue Smart is not a venture funded company. And
yeah, right.
So you should be aware of the fact that the model that you're going for, you can do it, but it's not going to be venture fundable. You're going to have to fund it in the way Blue Smart is funding it.
So these are the source and like.
Did you note what I just said?
Yeah, I can hear you. Like you are telling me that it's not venture funded, so I'm.
This is not a venture fundable idea. It's fine. You can do the business. You have to fund it another way.
It is venture funded. Like they get the funds from the Indian government as well. Like they have the previous
not a venture capital firm, Nischal. Indian government is a government. It is not a venture capital firm.
No, like the HNIs and the NBFCs, like they got the funds from the very non-banking services and like that.
It is not a venture capital funded company.
No. Yeah, I'm telling you that same, that they're not the venture capital fund.
So you figure out how you want to fund this company, but it is not going to be venture fundable because venture funding in that sector, in the ride hailing sector, operates in the marketplace model. And that has been fleshed out already. They're not going to go backwards in starting to own vehicles and all that.
Okay, sure. So basically,
there is a possibility. There is one situation in which the venture funded companies are going to, or public companies, Uber is a public company, they're going to own vehicles, is when there's self-driving cars available and regulation wise workable. If regulation allows self-driving cars, they will buy those cars and eliminate people from the equation. That is a scenario when that model is going to shift. But right now, the self-driving cars are still regulated.
No, they're still regulated, but in India, like this is not going to be so scalable right now. That's what you are saying is the self-driving cars. In India, we are not using that because every Indian.
I'm not saying that you should think about self-driving cars and start a business on self-driving cars. Not at all, because it is a regulated industry and it is not at all clear when that is going to be allowed. So I don't think you should build your business model around self-driving cars. You should not.
No, there are a lot of the companies also that they're doing the self-driving cars like Zoom and as well. So this is the simple pricing for the customers. It's going to be the average for the two-wheelers to 9 to 12 rupees per kilometers. And for the 3 kilometers is going to be the 18 to 20 rupees. And this is the charging cost for every vehicle. For the two-wheelers, we the 40 rupees and the three-wheelers like on the screen as you.
So how do you plan to get this started, this company?
Yeah. Basically, we want to, first of all, after getting the first, we want to hire someone, hire the team, because without a team, a startup can't be run. And then after that, we just release the vehicles from the leasing entities. We already talked to them. We already have they are ready to sign an MOU with us to partner with us, like Gentari and as well. I will talk to them various companies, which is the leasing companies. So they are like ready to provide us the leasing vehicles and the laptop. And I also talk about the charging companies and providing charging station.
No, but you're talking about partner, but how do you have your own personal money to get this thing off the ground, to start this company?
No, I'm just looking to get funded to this company because initial investment is highly required for me.
I don't know how to fund this company. As far as I'm concerned, this company is not fundable. So you have an example of a company that has gone through government funding and all that. You can research things like that and see if you can follow their trajectory. But this doesn't fall in 1Mby1M. We do bootstrap companies, things that can get started, ventures that can get started on their own, and be prepared for angel VCs, that kind of financing. If it's e-commerce, we can do inventory financing. There are services for that. But you are presenting a situation which requires government financing and all that. This is not something we do.
the main thing is like here we need the money. It's not necessarily like you are providing like you can get from the government or any kind of the organization. If the investor wants to invent like if the investor
That's
wants
what
to
I'm
invest
telling
that
you.
like
This is not a
you can
venture. This is not a venture fundable business model.
but I think that is because there's a lot of VCs who can invest like but at my stage they can't invest in us.
No, they will. VCs are not going to invest in this. This is not a venture fundable business model. So you're going to need to figure out, if you want to do this business, you're going to need to figure out how you're going to finance this business. And I don't know how to finance this business.
But I know like in the government of the like government of India is also providing the seed fund scheme to the startups as well.
Well, you can go
So this
talk
is
to
that.
the government and figure out if the government wants to fund it.
Yeah, like I'm talking to that. Like there's a lot of the conversations happening there, but still I'm looking for like outside funding or the investments from the VC or like angel investor. Like this is the stage for the angel, not the VC. I'm also telling you.
Neither angel nor VC will fund this business, in my opinion, because this is not a scalable business model in the parlance of venture capital. So angels fund companies that can be future funded by VCs, right? Angels have feeders into the venture capital ecosystem. They all have the exact same agenda. They're trying to go from $0 to $100 million in 5 to 7 years. There is no way this company is going to follow that kind of fast growth trajectory. It is not possible. So
Okay,
then
like
comes the question, how do you finance this thing? If you can't bootstrap, so we work with tons and tons of companies that are not venture fundable. Those companies have to be bootstrapped, and we work with millions of bootstrap startups, no problem.
yeah,
Bootstrapping is an acceptable model. But you are telling me this company cannot be bootstrapped, and I'm telling you it cannot be venture funded or angel funded. So then how do we fund this company?
like it can be bootstrapped, but like I have not enough of that funds to like put it in my company. Like I can put my side what the maximum amount of it, but still I still need some angel or like outside funders to get from this to reach to the new height of the goods to that company.
So then the only option there is friends and family. Do you have friends or family members who can finance you?
Yeah, like I can, but still I won't like to be an angel who can guide us and VCs who can guide us to that.
Angel and VC is not doable here. I would not advise you to join 1 million by 1 million in search of angel and venture capital funding for this particular venture. I'm being completely honest with you. It is not doable.
Okay, yeah, sure.
All right. I think the next presenter is Santosh Kumar. Santosh, please unmute your line.
Shramana, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to come online and present in front of you and as well as the other audience today. So I really don't have a very fancy presentation in comparison to Nischal's presentation. I tried to contain the presentation to more of what was given as a format to me, about 5 slides, to keep it very crisp.
That's perfectly fine. As long as you can clearly explain what you're doing, that's all I want to see.
Sure. So to give you a quick brief about our company, Startrit. Startrit is a deep tech startup company which is into the space of urban mobility as well as surveillance management. So our goals are to deliver a comprehensive real-time dynamic traffic management solution as well as surveillance system which can effectively use data to decongest traffic during peak hours, provide a priority access to emergency vehicles like your ambulance, fire, police, or military vehicles, um, do active threat detection in terms of finding out anomalies and being able to give alerts to specialized personnel deployed on the ground to alert them of any kind of weapons or any kind of bomb threats or things of that nature. So we have different multiple products under our portfolio that we are developing. One of which is a smart median, which actually can detect the existing traffic condition of a particular time of the day. It would be able to assess the oncoming traffic or the piling up of traffic, and it would be able to adjust itself dynamically according to the need of the hour. So what we have seen over here in our previous slides is, companies who have come up with zipper roads, which actually can move the lanes physically over a period of time, and they are functioning as we speak in US and in Australia, and they have made way for easing out of traffic even during rush hour traffic, and
You're
they
talking
provide.
about carpool lanes.
Sorry.
You're talking about carpool lanes.
Carpool lanes could be one of such concept. However, there is a Linde Corporation which actually has Zipper Road, which physically changes the lanes according to the need of the hour. So we're talking about a dynamic shift of the traffic lanes.
So just a second, let me try to understand what is the solution that you're talking about. The problem is urban traffic management and surveillance, as you're saying.
Yes.
And at what point are you delivering this solution? Are we talking about in the traffic lights? Where is the solution being implemented?
Okay. So we have actually come up with a solution uh, called as the smart median, which actually has the capability of dynamically resizing of roads. What that means is it can help in adaptive road lanes. It's a Startrit patented solution. We have filed the patent for our system, which can physically increase the lane width to suit the real-time traffic dynamically. And while I say physically increase the road width, we have had roads which have been limited by its capacity to operate by 50% of its total capacity of the road, only by limiting to have a median in between, right? So the median actually at all essential times of the day stands in the middle of the road and limits the capacity of the road by only using 50% of it effectively. So what that means is during morning, every city or every town sees a rush of vehicles coming in towards the city, and every evening there is a rush of vehicles coming from the central business district to go outside the city or the town where they are going towards their home or settlements. So these times, any vehicle which is in like an emergency vehicle, for example an ambulance, if it wants to cut to the hum of the city, it would not be easy for it to travel in these kind of times. So what our essentially our smart median does is it will be able to generate alerts for one use case. I'm taking an ambulance for an example. So any patient calling the hospital, immediately the alert will be raised to the police department parallelly. So our smart median, which is standing in the middle of the road, will be able to open like a door and give way for the ambulance to move on the opposite side by controlling the traffic on the different sides of the road and letting the ambulance pass.
Santosh, who's the buyer for this?
So there are different buyers for this segment. One is the government, the federal government, and the state government. So all the authorities who are actually in control of the road will be our buyers. One.
So municipalities, really.
Sorry?
Municipalities.
Municipalities, yes. Yeah. Municipalities also will buy. Counties of the towns will actually be our buyers. And there are also conventions and places of gathering wherever there are a lot of people gathering at one place at a specific time. like your airports, your seaports, hospitals, government offices, when there is a rush in the morning, or where there is a rush to get inside in the morning and rush to get outside in the evening. So those kind of places is where we effectively see this coming into picture.
But to implement a solution like this, it's not in the, if it's within a campus of a hospital or
Mhm.
a perimeter of an airport, it could be within the airport's authority or the hospital's authority, but by and large, roads are managed by municipalities
Absolutely.
or cities or states, whatever.
You're right. So there are two solutions we are proposing right now. One is on the surveillance side. The surveillance side is a smart barrier, which actually can detect, regular offenders, or people with any weapons or any kind of threat with suspicious behavior, to be able to track down their suspicious behavior. And with the help of AI, they would be able to, the alert will be raised on to the securities or the guarding officer, and they would be able to physically.
But these are two different problems. Surveillance and mobility are two different problems.
Correct. These are two solutions that we're
My
talking about.
suggestion would be not to pursue both because they're two different problems. And
Mhm.
as a startup, you have to choose one problem to solve. So choose one. You can try to validate both and see which one validates. This requires tremendous amount of validation, Santosh. You're going to need to talk to
Yes.
municipalities and get input. What have you started talking to municipalities?
Yes, I've actually visited, the city commissioner's office in Bangalore, and I had opportunity to discuss with the commissioner. So he was able to, when we showed him, okay, I have not showed you the solution, so probably I have not been able to explain it to you as much as what actually the video would be able to explain it, or the physical solution will be able to showcase it. So, imagine a median in the middle of the road, standing
No,
in.
I'm asking a very simple question. What input? I'm not trying to understand the solution. I'm trying to understand what is the feedback from the potential customer. So
So,
tell me what
okay,
are the municipalities telling you
okay.
about your product?
I would like to share the top three feedbacks that I received from people. One is the commissioner's office. So as soon as I was able to explain and show the potential solution to the commissioner, or the assistant commissioner of police of planning and traffic for Bangalore, he was able to relate to the issue, and he was able to, appreciatively suggest on which of the roads we would need this solution, and where all this can be deployed on the streets of Bangalore. One.
Okay. And
Uh,
what what do they want from you to start such a pilot deployment?
so, it's a tricky situation in India, because though the officer was being appreciative about the product or the solution, uh, he was more interested in the bureaucracy, or the government tenders, and the process of awarding such a tender
But
to us.
that's the reality of how government operates in India.
Exactly. So that's the reason we wanted to see if we could position to places outside India, and see, if we could have a straight, dealing, instead of going about the back door, because he was suggesting me the backdoor routes, which I was not very really big fan of, because
And
that's
backdoor routes, what? Meaning bribing and stuff?
not really bribing outright, but he was suggesting me of, going about, having this setup in small road, and he was asking us to, talk to different authorities, like the BBMP, Brihat Bengaluru Mahanagar Palika, which is like your municipal corporation of Mumbai, which actually could float tenders until unless they get the permission to float the tenders and
There
get
is no way to work with government without following their process, Santosh. That is the reality of this business. So wherever you try to work, government has its way of operating, and you're going to have to follow the government's way of operating.
Absolutely. I respect that and I agree with you on the ways of following with the government. However, for testing out the prototype itself, it will take about years if we go ahead and do that. So they were asking us to do a feasibility study, submit a report, and that will take another 6 months for them to evaluate this concept, and then another six
That's
months.
right. This is why these kinds of businesses are very difficult to build. So let's get to your questions. You're trying to raise funds for this.
Right.
This is not a fundable situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry to discourage both Nischal and you and Santosh. You're presenting situations that are not fundable. So when we encounter lots of situations that are not fundable. When we encounter situations that are not fundable, we typically bootstrap.
Right.
Now, if you're telling me that you can't, it is not a fundable situation and you cannot bootstrap, then this business becomes impossible to get off the ground. So I don't know how to get this business off the ground.
Okay, this was one opportunity I was talking to you about. Can I get a chance to talk about the surveillance part of it and see if
Okay,
that could be having any? Yeah,
sure.
thanks.
Talk
Thanks.
about the surveillance part.
Yeah. So it's a smart barrier which actually can detect faces, and it can find out people who are having any weapons on them, to be able to detect these kind of people and unusual and suspicious behavior. And with the help of AI, it would be able to check for the database of regular offenders and be able to provide security in places like banks, hospitals, airports, seaports, and places of.
This business exists. There are a lot of people doing this kind of surveillance businesses. So my advice to you out of this conversation is to forget about the traffic management thing and focus on figuring out how to build the surveillance business. That business I've seen many times. There are businesses doing that. Now the other business, this traffic management business, is happening also. We have case studies of traffic management, but they are being built out of like managing lights, traffic lights, for example, and
Exactly.
controlling stuff like that. But they are selling to municipalities, and there are solutions that are municipality solutions.
True.
So
we have a component
but they
for
have
that
to be
as well.
sold the way they have to be sold. There isn't another way of selling those besides going through the long sales cycle of selling to a municipality.
Correct.
The surveillance ones exist if you can come up with a solution of basically video analysis and determining what's happening. There's a lot of competition. My advice to you would be start with the competition, because that one is not a virgin field. That's extremely crowded actually now.
The facial recognition one?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not just facial recognition. If your system has to alert if somebody has a gun on him or her, the system needs to be able to find that on the video, detect that on the video and alert. So it's not just facial recognition, it's basically image processing.
Exactly. So it does call for image processing and AI and ML kind of scenarios where they use deep learning for identifying and verifying personals faces. And we also use high resolution cameras with night vision and thermal imaging being able to.
You can use whatever technology you want. That is not my concern at the moment. My concern at the moment is that this is a very crowded field. So you need to go do a competitive analysis and a competitive positioning to find where is the gap and how to go about building that business. There is you need to learn how to build a software startup basically. I don't think you've done it before, so it's something that you need to learn.
Right. So I was part of Microsoft's licensing team, managing their Asia time zone business back from 2010 to 2017, and I was partnered with them. So managing a business desk was usually part of my routine. So I quit there and I started my first venture in 2015, and this is my second venture. So.
And what happened to the first venture?
Pandemic. So that struck the world and it struck us. And it was more of a brick and mortar business. We were into construction and equipment and leasing of construction equipment. So a lot of unpaid bills and unpaid dues had
All
to.
right. So Santosh, let me explain for all of your purposes, everybody who's here, how to use 1 million by 1 million, and you can decide if you want to use 1M by 1M. You're welcome to learn from the program. It's very well structured and to teach people how to do a tech venture, IT venture. That's what we do. That's the only thing we do. So go to 1Mby1M.com. Everything is there. You can look at the website in detail. Our full acceleration program is 1M by 1M Premium. In there, we have mentoring like this. We call it strategy consulting, mentoring, coaching, whatever you call it, but it is interactive, consultative help. We do offer investor introductions, but you have to get to a point where you are fundable. So go look at the investor introductions page on the website to understand what I'm saying about investor introductions. Just by joining the program, you do not qualify for investor introductions immediately. I have to feel like you can raise money for me to introduce you to investors. We work with hundreds and hundreds of investors, like actually at this point, probably thousands of investors. We have an actionable curriculum. And I think in many of your cases who are both presenting as well as listening and planning to present in the future, curriculum is really important. Many of you are doing this as a first venture, really as a first tech venture. There's a lot of stuff to learn. And having a curriculum to learn that from is extremely valuable. When you are ready to actually market and sell your products, we also have influencer marketing. I'm a top influencer on LinkedIn, and we do help you get the word out about what you're doing. Now, 1M Basic is our curriculum only option, whereas Premium is a 1-year annual membership fee program that you can renew. You can be in the program for as long as you want, but it's priced as a 1-year annual membership fee, $1,000. 1M Basic is curriculum only and priced as a monthly $99 a month subscription. So you're welcome to do Premium or Basic, whatever you feel like doing to start your learning journey. There's a lot of information on the website on how programs are set up. There are some of you who have requested on a one-on-one consulting, you want complete privacy. Neither Basic nor Premium nor these free roundtables are privacy-oriented solutions. One-on-one consulting is the only one that is completely private, and you can access it. It is more expensive. It's $1,000 an hour. So be very clear on why you're going there. In October, we have 5 free roundtables. So you're very welcome to come talk to me at one of those, and we can kick around your ideas, your ventures, your roadblocks, your situations, and I will give you my candid feedback. I gave you absolutely candid feedback, Nischal and Santosh. So take it or leave it, up to you. If anybody has questions about the 1M program after this session, you can contact Irina Patterson, irina@1mby1m.com. And that's it. If anybody has any other questions, I will answer. Otherwise, we are done with today's session. Any questions, folks? Yes, no? I don't see any other hands up. All right, so I'm going to wrap up for today, and I will see you next week. Thank you for coming. Bye.